Hey everybody, welcome back to Yays and Booze, our small little pocket of the internet where we review wrestling shows. Thanks for being here. I appreciate it. If you don't know what Yays and Booze is, it's basically just a spin on hot takes. I give things a yay or a boo. A yay means I agree, a boo means I disagree. It's not that deep, just my opinion. Before we get started today, please make sure you leave your like, subscribe, hit the hype button if you're on mobile. Appreciate everyone getting those subscribers numbers up. We're gonna have a big 2026. I can feel it. Patreon.com/John Moonsault for a bunch of wrestling match watch-alongs. Now, without further ado, let's dive in. Jon Moxley and Claudio Castagnoli was a great main event on Dynamite last night. I loved him beating Mox by pinfall with 5 minutes left in the match and glad it didn't end in a draw. Happy Claudio won the CMLL World Heavyweight Championship last Friday night in Arena, Mexico against Gran Guerrero and ending his 1,117-day reign. Yeah, what a couple of weeks for Claudio. This is getting a yay. I am over the moon for this guy in the current position he's in. Admittedly, I didn't see the CMLL match, but I did see that result. When I saw that on Twitter, I was like, oh my God, Claudio got the title. Hell yeah. It's just another step and another piece of Claudio climbing up the Death Riders rank to eventually take control. I think for a while, Marina Shafir was the one to be looked at as like, oh, she's going to kick Moxley out and she feels bad for Mox and she's going to take the reins. Now, that could still be the case. I think that would be very cool, but we have to keep our eye on Claudio. I think Claudio is going to end up taking the reins, and honestly, maybe I'll get into it later. I'll get into it now. I think Marina might be going down with the ship of Jon Moxley being the ship. So I think for a while, she's looking disappointed at Mox and being like, oh man, we have to kick you out. But I think she's so on Team Mox where she's gonna go out with them. I don't know. I don't say you kind of love either way, with Claudio taking control or Marina taking control. And I don't know. I'm excited to see what happens. But a great main event. I really did love like the second it like 5 minutes left and they ran at each other like bulls and Claudio just boom, got him, 1, 2, 3, electric. Now, my one small thing, and you know me, I'm not someone at all that complains about blood or violence or whatever, but I do see people having a problem with Jon Moxley bleeding all the time. At this point, it's become a meme. And in this rare instance, I do agree with everyone. I do see it. I don't know if we need blood here. I think blood could have been saved for a future Moxley-Claudio match, or just, I don't know, some other stuff down the road, because this didn't feel like the Death Riders Jon Moxley ender. And the only reason it's top of mind, so we did get Marina Shafir bleeding in the women's tag match, so I don't know if you need both bleeding. However, I might take all this back because that kind of ties in the thing I just said, where I'm starting to think Marina and Moxley are like tied to each other. They're like soul, I don't know, their souls are together. I don't know. Marina Shafir bled. She lost. I think that's what people aren't talking about that enough. Marina Shafir, yes, she was with Megan Bayne. It wasn't like super Death Rider stuff heavy, but Marina Shafir still lost that opportunity for the inaugural women's tag titles. Jon Moxley also lost tonight. They both bled. I don't know if I'm reading too much into that, but I don't think it's a coincidence. Fletcher and Knight had an absolute banger. I don't even know what to say about it, but these two are the future and then now. This match rocked. I'm giving this a yay. Now, we all know Kyle Fletcher. He's been tagged as like the Randy Orton or the young Randy Orton in this generation. We all know Kyle Fletcher, the proto star, is going to be the guy for a long time. But who we should really also emphasis on also be focusing on is Kevin Knight. There's something about Kevin Knight, and I've been saying this the first time I saw him. There's something about Kevin Knight that's special. He's going to, I'm excited to see what main eventer wrestler he grows into, but this match overall was so much fun. I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up landing at my match of the week next week. But yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. What else is there to say other than like, hell yeah, this match rocked. These two have the brightest future in the world. So moving on with a yay. I struggle to see why Tony Khan is so enthusiastic about putting Hook into this main event storyline. It's totally cooled off since his inclusion, and it's only getting worse by putting them in a 5+ minute match against the Dark Order on Dynamite. The Ops had zero crowd reaction, and that match should have been a 2-minute stomp. Surprisingly, as a very notable Hook defender, truther, enthusiastic person, I'm giving this a yay. I see what they're doing with, like, you know, he was in the Ops and then sided with Eddie Kingston. Now he's back, and like Joe was like, I wanted to put him through the ringer, and then I think there was even something that came out today with a little Hook interview with Renee, I think, and him being like, whose idea? I don't know. And again, I think Hook's talented. I think Hook has a bright future, but I do agree it's why this got a yay or is getting a yay, that I don't know why he has to be such a catalyst. I think he should take a more background role, if any role is even needed. Again, I do enjoy him rubbing shoulders with the likes of Samoa Joe, Shibata, Powerhouse Hobbs, Eddie Kingston on the other side, right? But yeah, the match against Dark Order, you know, it was whatever. I didn't love his promo like leading up to that match at the beginning of the night when he was, you know, does his whole tough guy act, and I think that can work. A lot of people have a problem with it, but I don't know. I'm happy Hook is on TV. I just also, I also don't really. I think I don't love it less than a lot of people, but like, I'm not campaigning for it, you know? When are they going to do more than one women's match in AEW TV shows? And I don't mean a regular match in a squash match like I do sometimes. I mean 2 feuds at the same time in the same show. They'll have 3 women's titles now, but at the same time for every women's title they introduce 3 men's titles. Sure, I see what you're saying. I definitely had an initial thought of either once the card was announced or after the women's tag match, kind of like, oh, that's the only women's tag match, or sorry, the women's match in general. And AEW has such a deep and interesting women's roster. I don't know. So I'm giving this a pretty quick yay. For like, I agree. I think there should be more than one high-profile women's match, you know, on the card. Thankfully, we are getting some stuff on ROH with like Mercedes and also Athena in a separate match for those separate titles. But yeah, no, I agree. This is getting a yay. I think there should have been more than one women's match on the show last night. Dr. Luther getting big pops in 2025 warms my heart. This dude has been around since what, the late 80s, Heart Dungeon survivor, trainee, deathmatch specialist, but finally found his role as a butler. Wrestling is so great. I'm giving this a yay. This might be a full yay episode. I don't know. Admittedly, I don't know too much about, 80s deathmatch Dr. Luther. I really only know about him with his AEW stuff, and he's such a great non-wrestling character, especially like with Tony. It's just a perfect pairing. But it's kind of good to know. This makes me want to dive in. I don't mean for this to be a plug for the Patreon, but maybe on the Patreon, smooth, we end up watching some Dr. Luther matches. I don't know, but yeah, him coming out with Santa and like he had the gift, and then I think it was Marina took it off, or whoever it was, maybe it was Megan Bain flipping him off. It's great. It's so silly, but I like that he wasn't involved in more of the match. Right? We got our little like Luther taste. Bada bing, bada boom. He's there in the Santa outfit. And yeah, this is great. But good note on Dr. Luther. I got some homework to do. Harley Cameron and Willow should win the women's tag titles. You know what? I think they should. I'm giving this a yay. I had this thought once Tony and Mina won last night. That was a really fun match. And I've been campaigning for Tony and Mina Shirakawa to be the inaugural women's champions. Now, I still think they would be a great option. However, at this point, it does seem kind of like the obvious option. And other women have also worked hard. Not to discredit Tony and Mina, but we've seen Tony with a belt recently. It would be pretty refreshing, cool for a team like Harley Cameron and Willow Nightingale to get those titles. Yes, a little bit more of a put-together team than Tony and Mina, but a lot of this tournament is. The women's tag division is brand new. I think Harley and Willow, like in-ring, character work, especially with Harley, and Willow. Willow's been killing it in all aspects. I love her with the conglomeration. It's all been so good. I think Harley and Willow would make for a great, I don't even want to say upset victory, but a surprising victory, maybe a victory people wouldn't expect over a Tony and Mina Shirakawa. Tony and Mina can get it, whatever. They can get it at a different point, but right now, my vote, I don't know about prediction, but my vote right now is also Harley and Willow. I think that'd be 6. Yeah, I agree. Continental Classic is the best tournament in wrestling. Hell yeah. I guess, the G1, as someone who hasn't watched too much of the G1, but that would be the conversation. But, not just compare apples and oranges. And we're not trying to be tribalist. I'm not trying to start no fights, but it has so far, even though in its early stages, has been more compelling than a different tournament also kind of going on right now. Hey, I don't know. But yeah, Continental Classic rocks. This is getting a yay. Being there live was awesome. Everyone was super nice and got to see a lot of cool people up close. 4 dark matches, and they were all good, and the main card was awesome. Had a verbal exchange with DG during the dark match, was awesome too. Fletcher/Knight match of the night. Hell yeah, good for you. AEW puts on a hell of a show. I'm just coming off a week or two ago, sitting front row, thank you AEW, of their show in Boston. Yeah, they put on a hell of a show. There's so much energy, and I think that's the appeal of like the current smaller venues they're running, is things feel more intimate. My favorite concerts, I don't like going to TD Garden for a concert. You know what I do like going to? The like 200, 500, couple thousand, rooms max of like, it's just a more intimate setting. And that's kind of how it feels with AEW. Now, of course, I want to see them be packing out TD Garden again. But for right now, I'm enjoying them going to these like, ballrooms and having these different setups and settings. And again, there's not going to be a bad seat in the house. Everywhere you sit is going to be great. And also ticket prices, dude. Ticket prices are fantastic. You can go and get an amazing seat and you're not going to break the bank too much. That's great. Happy you had a good time. And, if AEW comes to your neck of the woods, it's turned into an ad. It's not an ad, but this is getting a yay. Pac is an absolute unit and his new look is incredible. He should get a mid-card title into an open challenge every week. Then him and Dragunov should have a fight to the death for the love of the game. This is getting a yay. Hey, is there any way, we can get Ilya? I mean, I know people were like, oh, they should do a trade with WWE and like Edge can go to WWE for the retirement tour. Maybe AEW should get Ilya to participate in the Continental Classic. How sick I'm that, dude. I'm not getting, this is all hypothetical and fan stuff, not gonna ahead of myself. Pac though, when he came back, I think a lot of people were calling him like Mighty Mouse because a little shorter and but he's the most jacked person, one of the most jacked people I've ever seen, even just on the roster. I like the singlet. I even like his entrance, still coming out through the crowd, like him sitting on the chair with the towel until it's time to go to the ring. No nonsense. Let me take my time, but also whatever to the ring. I don't know. He rocks. And yeah, especially at this stage of his career, he screams like intimidating mid-card champion that's going to elevate a mid-card title, any mid-card title he has. An open challenge, sure. Once we start doing that, then here comes the folks are like, they're just copying WWE and this is a blah, blah, blah. But I would love more Pac matches. The match with him and Okada was a ton of fun. Okada getting the roll-up. There's a whole other thing to be said about that. Where Okada, not seeming too Okada-ish, not seeming too confident. Lost his first match, had to beat Pac with a roll-up. I don't know if he's holding on that title. Do I think Pac's going to win this? No, but like he would, I do see the writing on the wall that this is going to end with Okada Takeshita. However, like I was saying with like Tony and Mina, a swerve with like, here's the thing. I do want Okada Takeshita singles 2025 AEW, but also a swerve be fun. But the more I'm talking it out, I do think I want Okada and Takeshita still overall, but like someone like a Claudio Castagnoli or a Pac winning this would kind of rock. And that's kind of the beauty of the Continental Classic. You pick your guy, you root for them. There's so many great talents in this that could win it. So, kind of went on a tangent there, but overall, yay. Final one of the day. Continental Classic has some great matches every week, but the unified international Continental title is so dumb. My hope is that Takeshita wins the tourney against Okada and then wins the international title the next pay-per-view and actually unifies it. You mean unifies it again? Because it is unified right now, and it splits and unifies it again. Man, here's the thing. I agree with you. This is getting a yay for sure. I think I had this conversation, I forget if it was on the podcast or the Patreon pod, but I like that this tournament is for like a championship and for the Continental title. But it should just, and granted, you'd have to, I don't know, call it like the Unified Classic. I don't know. I do think they should have unified the titles in the first place, which they did to make less titles. But now it's like the winner of the tournament gets the Continental belt, and then that splits the belt. So now Okada still has the international half of it, and then Takeshita has the Continental. And it just seems, it's just complicated for no reason. And again, I get it. Like, it's called Continental Classic. I don't know, Unified Classic, Unified Continental. You can still call it the Continental Classic and have it for the unified belt. I don't know, but I'm fully with you. It's even more convoluted, which I don't even think is a bad move. But like you said, have Takeshita win, and then he wins the international title, and then unifies them again into one belt. I don't know. Did they already ununify them? Maybe I missed when the actual ununifying ceremony of it. But that's been a big problem and criticism for a while with AEW, is have too many belts, and things like this can get a little overly complicated. And for what's already a, fairly complicated tournament, you don't need to complicate the prize even more, All right, folks, that's going to do it for today. Please leave some of your yays, boos, hot takes in the comments that we didn't cover today. Would you agree with? Would you disagree with? Subscribe, likes, check out the Patreon for watch-alongs, all that stuff. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for being here. Peace.